Kia ora everyone, welcome to another 5 Minutes with the FMA, a podcast from the Financial Markets Authority. Today we're talking about financial advice providers and the regulatory returns that they're required to file each year. The deadline is looming. We're joined by Dasha Ratnayaka from the financial advice team at the FMA to tell us a bit more. Hi Dasha, what is the purpose of these regulatory returns? Can you tell us why they're so important for the FMA and the industry?
The purpose for the collection is to enable the FMA to understand the profile of the licensed business and to make sure data-led decisions are being made when we are supervising the financial advice providers. The regulatory returns require reporting of factual business information such as business volumes, advice products, service types, client numbers, outsourcing arrangement numbers, and complaints information. This provides the FMA with updated information on the nature, size, and complexity of each advice provider's service. The financial advice sector is large and diverse. We don't want to spend time trying to supervise or regulate an area that's operating well. We really want to direct our attention to the most important risks aligned with the outcomes we seek for New Zealanders, and good data helps us do that.
And so who is required to submit one of these returns?
Any entity who holds a valid license as at 30th of June is required to submit a regulatory return for that year.
And how should a provider report on authorised bodies in their regulatory return?
An authorised body is not required to submit their own return. We expect the licence holding FAB to include all authorised body information in their regulatory return. It does mean that if you're an authorised body under a FAB licence, you can work with the licence holder to ensure the data is readily available for them to complete the return on your behalf.
Can you walk us through some of the reporting and submission important dates, please? What's the timeline? What are some of the key dates that advice providers need to remember?
So all FAB regulatory returns are open for submission from 1 July to 30th September each year. We send out reminder emails to all of our licensed FABs with a link to My FMA portal to ensure that they're able to submit the return prior to 30th of September.
So what kind of information is the FMA seeking to gather through these returns? What kind of questions are asked?
The question set is broken down into 5 parts, namely business structure, licensed activity, complaints process, outsourcing, business continuity and technology. More information and explanation about the question set and frequently asked questions are published on our website to help FABs navigate the annual regulatory returns.
So what are some of the key challenges faced by advice providers when they complete their returns and how can they avoid them? What are some of the, where might we sometimes see issues or problems arise?
One challenge for entities is to understand the meaning behind the question. This at times lead to incorrect responses being provided in the regulatory return. To overcome this, we've published the FAB Regulatory Return Information Sheet on our website, providing an explanation to each one of the questions. We would strongly recommend that entities read this document prior to submitting a return.
And how does the FMA use the data that it collects in this process?
As a data and intelligence-led regulator, the data is to understand the trends in the sector, including any emerging themes or risks. The cleansed data from the returns are also shared back with the industry, and it's also published on our website annually.
What are the implications for those advice providers who fail to submit their returns on time or put inaccurate information in them?
Under Standard Condition 3 of the FAB license, it's a requirement for all licensed entities to submit a regulatory return by 30th of September each year. Not submitting a return during the return periods means that you have not met your licensing conditions, and FMA will track and follow up with those who didn't do it on time. If you provided inaccurate information, please get in touch with us and we can work that with you. If you have any issues submitting your regulatory return, I urge you to contact the FMA as soon as possible so we can assist you with issues you have.
Well, on that topic, I guess, have you got any advice maybe for a new advice provider submitting their return for the first time?
I'd recommend that they read the regulatory return information sheet and the FAQ from the FMA website. You must have a Realme login and be registered on the Financial Service Provider Register. Submit one return per license, and if you have an authorized body, include their information in the return. If you have any questions, please contact us and we can assist you with your query.
Thanks very much for your time today, Dasha. That's another 5 minutes with the FMA. You can find out more about regulatory returns on our website at www.fma.govt.nz. See you next time.